Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. One of the hottest, most controversial topics in Call of Duty year over year, especially as of late, Black Ops 6 being at the forefront of this conversation, is the ridiculous cosmetics. We've got Beavis and Butthead running around, Nicki Minaj, the Terminator, a billion different skins that truly have no realistic spot in Call of Duty at this point. We see sharks and we see all sorts of wolves and different animals running around. Like, the skins have gotten outrageous. They make them because clearly there is an audience that just absolutely loves the ridiculousness, the flashiness of these skins. But for a lot of Call of Duty fans, especially seemingly the vocal majority here online, it's not the way. It takes away from that military Call of Duty core feeling that we know from this franchise, and it really just pushes these ridiculous things right into gameplay at the forefront. You have things like carryover that basically water down the new game day one with a lot of these things, or in this case, season one. But here's the thing, the devs have responded to the controversial skins here in Call of Duty. It's not the most specific way, it's decently ambiguous, as most answers from Call of Duty are, but it does give us a little bit of insight here into what to expect going into Black Ops 7, although there is some irony in what they tell us here. But this is an article on Dexerto. Call of Duty Black Ops 7 devs directly address Call of Duty's controversial skins. Black Ops 7 devs have opened up about the controversial skins in Call of Duty, mentioning how they are now considering feedback from the community. Much like any other shooter, the Call of Duty franchise offers a plethora of different skins that players can use, some of which are limited time crossovers from other franchises. Not all of them really work in COD, of course. Black Ops 6, for example, has its share of crossover skins that some players are fond of, but it's no secret that some out there have not been received well by the community. One of the major complaints stem from how the choices of some characters feel out of place, leading to fans dubbing them wacky as they clash with the game's overall aesthetics. As the hype for Black Ops 7 mounts, devs have spoken up regarding players' feedback on this subject. So in an interview with IGN, Associative Creative Director Miles Leslie responded to a question on whether fans can expect to see these kinds of designs in the upcoming title. Having thought about this, he explained that the team is, quote, always looking at community feedback. That is a very broad answer and something that they constantly say, you know, oh, we're listening, we hear you guys, but then there's not always the action that follows up the listening or the hearing us, right? We are always trying to make sure that we are trying to touch with the widest audience, which lately has been the fans of those crazy, ridiculous, wacky skins. I've had the pleasure of working at COD for almost 20 years now, and we're constantly looking at ways to push into different audiences and fans, and that's what you saw with that. There are fans that really love it. However, he's aware that there are also fans who those skins may not be their favorite. That said, he assured players that the team is going to try and calibrate that as they move forward and take that feedback seriously. Ultimately, he stressed, again, we are trying to make sure that all fans feel represented in the game, and figuring out that tight balance is something we're paying attention to. As many players have already pointed out, one of the main issues with some crossovers is that they feel cartoonish, or in the case of several that we've seen with Black Ops 6 already, they are quite literally cartoons, having American Dad and Beavis and Butthead in the game that don't feel like they represent Call of Duty at all whatsoever. They represent Call of Fortnite, which seems like what COD is trying to be a lot of the time. This is a very different case from Fortnite, which has stylized that look a lot more often. Black Ops 7 is releasing later this year. Now, this is, like I said, a largely ambiguous response. They're not going to directly say, hey, we're no longer doing this crossover skin or that crossover skin. We're no longer doing cartoon skins. And it's not them saying we're going all in on the military stuff, super realistic stuff grounded in realism. They're going to play a balance there for sure. We'll have some military stuff, some grounded in realism stuff, especially more towards launch. But then it also seems like they're still going to contribute to this cartoonish, wild, wacky, ridiculous skin venture that they've gone into as of late. The problem is that it seems like they lean one way a lot heavier, and it's not the rooted in what Call of Duty should be at its core. Funny enough, this does actually line up with a report that we had from the Ghost of Hope back when Verdansk was dropping, saying that they're aware that a lot of the crossover and collab skins make Call of Duty look stupid, and it's something they wanted to, respond to. And obviously, since then, we haven't seen much change. We've seen Beavis and Butthead drop, American Dad drop, more sharks and other random animals running around as well, right? The thing is, unfortunately, when you see reports like that come out, you assume it's going to be instantaneous impact, and that's not what Call of Duty is, especially on the cosmetic front. You know, collabs and crossovers, because of all the licensing they have to go through, are likely done 3, 4, 5, 6+ months in advance. So when you see a report in season 3 saying, hey, they're going to maybe tone this stuff down, and then in season 4 they drop the most ridiculous skins yet, you're like, well, hey, wait a second. That just goes against what they said, because a lot of that stuff was pre-planned, and it's not like they can just back out of that licensing and that legal contract that they've got with a crossover or a collab. So really, the large impact of that initial report could be felt more here in Black Ops 7. That said, if they do start to lean more into, okay, we're getting a little too crazy with the skins, we're getting a little too flashy with the operators, you then have carry forward, which starts to negate all of that, because sure, at launch you could have the milsim skins, the standard issue stuff, like what Black Ops 7 already seems to have based on the cosmetics and the looks that we've seen outside of like the Vault Edition, which is more crazy and outlandish as it typically is. You have like the milsim skins that's in all the key art, you have the basic stuff there. Season 1, we don't know what the content will be like quite yet, but we know that in season 1, that's when the carry forward stuff is going to hit. That's when they're going to introduce all the Black Ops 6 carry forward content. So the weapons, the operators, the operator skins. That means come season 1, even if the Black Ops 7 theme is still on brand and they're not getting crazy, they're going a bit more milsim, they're sticking with the theme of the game and the overall aesthetic of the game, and it's rooted in realistic stuff even, or it's not crazy over the top, it's gonna be overshadowed outright. It's gonna be overshadowed because you're gonna see dozens of Beavis and Butthead skins running around, and American Dad and all this other stuff from Black Ops 6. And then it's like, okay, all of that's here now, and that's what you're gonna see spams constantly, which is unfortunate. So as much as they may be looking to recalibrate the way that they approach skins and maybe dial it back some, you do kind of contradict your statement there. You do kind of contradict your goal when you introduce carry forward with how ridiculous Black Ops 6 has been this year. Ultimately, this does come down to them having to prove it. Their word is their word, and oftentimes, as is with large companies, and especially here in gaming, it's hard to take them at that because they've said one thing and then done another thing for so long. Call of Duty is, you know, an absolute example of this in the past. But hopefully it is something they do take a bit more seriously going into Black Ops 7. But as I just said, it's a prove it scenario. Time is going to tell here. Launch the game with whatever content you're going to have, the skins, whatever. Season 1 will be a big telling point, I think. If the Season 1 Battle Pass this year has the absurd skins returning yet again right away, they're probably not calibrating too much into the realism stuff and into the military stuff. It's probably going to be, hey, we know this stuff sells like hotcakes. We're going with the crazy, ridiculous, flashy skins. And then you stack all the carry forward stuff on top of that, and it's just completely lost the plot, right? Personally, I think a skin filter would go and solve this entire problem, basically. I don't think they'll ever do it because players are free marketing. When someone buys the Beavis and Butthead bundle, they are marketing that skin for everybody in their lobby, right? And if you turn that off, well, then there goes some of that marketing. I don't think a lot of casual players would necessarily turn that off. It's really the people who are more die-hard invested in the franchise that don't want it to have all this ridiculous stuff in it that would utilize that feature. But like I said, I'd be surprised if they ever actually fully went through with something like that. But we got a response. The devs have actually addressed now, you know, officially their thoughts on the ridiculousness of some of the Call of Duty cosmetics. Now, it's not the most specific response, which is a little bit of a letdown, but it's a response nonetheless. It's no longer just a rumor that we had, you know, multiple seasons ago. That said, that's going to wrap things up for this video. If you guys enjoyed it, a like rating is always seriously appreciated. It really does help out the channel. And if you're new to the channel, you want to ensure you're always up to date with everything going on in COD. No better place than right here. So feel free to hit that subscribe button and turn on those post notifications. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, take it easy. Have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you later. Peace out.